YouTube, it's a very passionate place, whether you're a creator or whether you're actually a user as well, consuming the content on the platform. One of the things that we talk about is that it is whatever passion that you're passionate about, whether it be sports, like most of us in the room, or whether it be Lady Gaga on the mainstream, or whether it be some YouTubers who are homegrown big on the platform, like in the middle, PewDiePie there, who's the biggest YouTuber with 32 million subscribers in gaming, or Tanya Burr, big in fashion and beauty, to things like how to create pottery, or to things like loom bands that's become very popular on the platform for anyone who's young kids at the moment. The one thing as well, it's big audiences, so over 1 billion users globally. In Ireland, we have 2.4 million users visit the site every month, and they consume a lot of content that's ever increasing all of the time. And one of the things about a lot of the users we see on YouTube, so we really like users coming back to the platform again and again all the time. We actually want to create it to be a daily habit. Just like the daily habits that a lot of people have in this room, I'm sure, for Facebook, Twitter, Instagram as well, another big platform. But the one thing that I'm calling out from this slide is for people that we see that come to YouTube more than 3 times a week, we see that for Facebook, they use Facebook 67% every day, Twitter 33%, and this is against non-users, so non-users versus occasional users. And we see this actually even goes higher percentages once it's 16 to 34-year-olds, so those numbers even increase. And the point being, for a lot of you who are rights holders in the room, or broadcasters, or brands, the likelihood of YouTube users sharing your content is 4 times more being a YouTube user versus a non-YouTube user. So it's a very connected audience a lot of the time. So back to sport. Reinventing traditional. So with sport on YouTube, and I think some of the talks earlier hitting this point, a lot is changing right now in terms of the programming of content, but as well in terms of the consumption of the audiences that are consuming it. We're seeing 3 big trends that I'm going to talk about today. One being rights holders, broadcasters, content creators. They have a massive audience at their computer fingertips to actually tap into really quickly on YouTube. And one of the biggest points on that is that it's a global audience. The UK is actually our region that exports the most content. So UK creators, most of their content is consumed in other territories. Only 20–30% is consumed in the UK. Another good example in sport, the NBA specifically, who have a YouTube channel, they have over 2.5 billion views on YouTube now. Their channel, they only receive less than 40% of their views happen in the US. So for a very US sport, that's absolutely phenomenal, really, that a lot of their users are outside of the US. Another phenomenon is brands, like the example from Volvo trucks, where you might have seen Jean-Claude Van Damme splitting his legs doing the splits. Brands, for one of the first times, can connect to their audiences and distribute content and retain that audience. I think with the AIB example we saw earlier, it's a great example of building on that content. You're building an audience, and the next time you release a piece of video content in your YouTube channel, you'll have all of your subscribers there waiting for that content. And one of the examples mentioned continually today is GoPro. GoPro, for me, are the new Red Bull, the Red Bull that everyone talked about as being one of the best content creators. One of the reasons they're so good is because they've really nailed getting their users and their fan base to create content about them as well. So it really scales everything. It's not just their content that they're putting out, but as well their fans as well. And thirdly, and I think one of the biggest changes that's happening, and will get even bigger over time, is fans. So fans can broadcast for the first time to large audiences. So fans really have large audiences that they can tap into any time to talk about something. And in this example here on the left of the screen is a guy called Robbie, who gave up his day job about over a year ago now. So YouTube is allowing a lot of these fans have full-time jobs from YouTube. We actually pay over 1 million people now in terms of creating content for YouTube on the platform, so sharing the revenue from advertising. But Robbie here is an example. He's built up an Arsenal fan TV channel where he is a big Arsenal fan and he interviews other Arsenal fans. And as a result of that, he has about 400,000 uniques a month in terms of an audience on YouTube. He has Arsenal fans, I'm sure some Tottenham fans in there as well, commenting and stuff as well. And after every match day, within 48 hours, he reaches about 200,000 fans that are predominantly Arsenal fans with these pieces of content. He's produced 3,000 videos over the last 2.5 years, which are basically fans interviewing fans, build-up of the event, and then the game, and then the aftermath. So it's absolutely amazing to see kind of the power that this fan now has because he's tapped into a big user base or audience base. Another example, this is the most famous golfer you've never heard of. His name is Mark Crossfield. He's based in the UK. He has an audience of, he gets 1.5 million views on YouTube every month. So I guess at YouTube we've kind of changed our communication a lot of the time where we talked about viral videos a lot in the past. It's more kind of distributing to audiences now. And Mark, he started his channel a few years ago. He is a golf coach and he teaches how to hit a golf ball was probably one of his first videos. And he's built up 1,500 videos over time, and he's listened to his audience about what type of content they want to watch. So every 2 weeks, Mark plays 18 holes, and he edits that into a 40-minute piece of video. So I guess a lot of the time people think of YouTube maybe as 3-minute watch times. Mark, as an example, has now created long programs of him actually going around the golf course. So check him out if you get a second. Within sport, football, being a Kerry man that Rob referred to earlier, maybe I've been in London too long calling it football now, soccer or football, whatever you want to call it. Football is the biggest content category on the YouTube platform. And it commands large audiences. 2 examples I have here of creators on the platform, once again, who have built up audiences by being nimble, creating content quickly, but also seeing what audiences want, is this channel on the left called Free Kickers. Free Kickers is a channel of 3 friends in Germany who started up a few years ago. And this month they got 22 million views for their content. The previous month they got 20 million views. They have a unique audience on YouTube of about 4 to 5 million users. So if you think about that in other terms, that's about double Match of the Day audience in the UK, but it's on a global basis. And what they do with most of their videos, how they're really scaling, is they're actually having goals like the Stephanie Roach goal we saw earlier, and compiling top 10 goals from the week, top 10 skills of the week, and distributing it onto YouTube. And brands have woken up to this as well, which I'll talk about in a second, or actually talk about it now. With Free Kickers as an example here, Adidas, so the Adidas My Coach ball, they're working with Free Kickers to actually promote their football within this video. So they're partnering with brands to actually look at promoting products. On the right-hand side as well, which you can see gets 1.8 million views. On the right-hand side as well is Neymar. In the little box up to the right, you mightn't see these guys, but they're 2 twins in Sweden. They're 18 years old. They've tried to make it as professional footballers. They've been in a professional club in Stockholm, Youth Academy, the last few years. And just over a year ago, they started uploading cool skill tricks videos, and they're phenomenal. A lot of their fans think they're better than Ronaldo. They've built up an audience massively, one of the fastest growing football channels on the platform, 700,000 subscribers in a year, over 42 million views from only 50 videos, so phenomenal growth. But Castrol, who has Neymar as their ambassador, wanted to promote their content more on the platform during the World Cup. So they sent a message to the twins of Neymar saying, "Hello, Skill Twins, I've accessed your page and really like a lot of your video." They told the twins, "We're sending you a surprise video, record yourselves watching it." And this was the video of them recording themselves watching it where they go crazy. So even though these guys are kind of stars in their own little communities, they really want to work with more traditional celebrities. Neymar is the biggest star in the world for them. So it's interesting to think about the access you have in sponsorships to any talent or teams. That's amazing experiential days you can offer these types of YouTubers, or whether it be to meet their biggest fans like Colin Cooper or whatever it is. And it's not just these kind of unknowns, but I think the next big trend we're going to see is more mainstream celebrities as well, creating a lot more video content. So I'll just play the video first. Whoops. Did anyone guess who that is? Shout it out. Peter Cech? Yes, correct. So Peter Cech, his YouTube channel, in the last month, he's uploaded 2 videos of him being a fan of being a drummer. So this is amazing content for fans of Chelsea, Peter Cech, whoever it is, to actually experience, to see the real Peter Cech, which I think we're going to see a lot more over time. We've already seen it with Ronaldo and Neymar in football. They have big YouTube channels where they can help their brands activate campaigns and get massive reach as well, and very timely content as well. We saw this with Nike do a great job, actually. They did, when they sponsored Rory McIlroy, they had a video that went live straight away on their Nike channel, which was Ronaldo and, it was Rooney and McIlroy actually kicking a golf ball and a football around a golf course, so very reactive timing. Another example was when Ronaldo won the Ballon d'Or last year. They had pieces of content ready to go live on YouTube straight away. So preparation based on what might happen as a result of events are very important for YouTube. So in the UK recently, we ran a panel of 1,500 YouTube users and asked them, for sports fans, what types of content they really enjoyed. So as you can imagine, good highlights and summaries, number one, which we all think, I guess, a lot of the time for YouTube, you go there for highlights. I know when we started partnering with a lot of sports partners, we thought highlights would be massive on the platform, which they are, but a category that's gotten bigger over time that we would have never really have foreseen is that behind the scenes. So they give me insider access and exclusive content. When you think about, if you think about brands thinking about exclusive content in sports, I think a lot of you would probably think of live 90-minute games, 70-minute games, 80-minute games. What's happening now, another question we actually asked outside of this for the panel was, do you think TV or YouTube gives you more exclusive content? And for users and non-users, they thought YouTube. When I said non-users, they're occasional users. But it's phenomenal that there's just so much content on YouTube that it's amazing for fans to experience that content. So how we bundle, and one last point here, the last 2 points, I know my friends are watching them too. I can discuss, share, and comment with other viewers. So it's a very two-way dialogue. It's not just, I guess, like a traditional TV, one way. The users, a lot of the time, are influencing the content these creators are creating. And for any of you, I would recommend to look in the comments underneath your videos as brands or agencies to see what types of content your audience are telling you to create, or as sports organizations as well. So we bundle them into these content categories. Behind the scenes, this is Man City tunnel cam that gets about 200,000-300,000 views after every match day. The IRFU are doing this now as well, I saw recently. Episodic and news. Sky Sports have a very big YouTube channel, which they are working with a lot of these more homegrown YouTubers now. And as well, new brands like Copa 90 is up here in the right-hand corner, which is a football new brand. They create programming specifically for social media. They have a program called Comments Below, that the program is, the next week's program is dictated on the comments in the video from the previous program. And every week the program is running based on the comments in the previous week. So interesting, thinking about that connectivity. The GAA here as well, skills and tutorials. So I noticed the hurling freestyle within their channel really took off last year, some of their most viewed pieces of content. So thinking about that, it's a massive category area, skills and tutorials, where we've seen professional athletes become professional from looking at YouTube videos when they're younger. So it's amazing. And experimenting in live as well. Wimbledon, we partnered with IMG and Wimbledon to live stream from their event for 13 days last year, some of the content rights that IMG had with behind the scenes. And one last point in the live, actually, we're seeing things like obviously the Stratus, the Red Bull Stratus that we saw got over 8 million people watching at once. Things like press conferences in sports are getting large audiences. Lukaku, who signed for Everton from Chelsea, had 200,000 people viewing from Belgium at one time, just seeing his press conference. Gareth Bale, Rodriguez, all of these guys signing for Real Madrid, they live streamed on YouTube, over 1 million people watching, which is interesting. And then when we talked about highlights earlier, I just wanted to show an example of when we think of traditional highlights kind of taken from TV directly and put onto YouTube, that's not the best type of highlight sometimes. Sometimes you should maybe think about, for the YouTube audience, they like behind the scenes, maybe you should tailor it a little bit. So I think this is a great example from Arsenal Football Club of the highlights they put up on the platform now.
Hello, I'm here per Mertesacker live at the Emirates Stadium. I'm here in the commentary box with Denis Crushell. Hello.
Hello, how are you?
I'm very good. We are here at the Emirates and the warm-ups already started. We are really looking forward to this absolutely amazing game, Arsenal v Newcastle. And here are the teams.
Yes, hello Newcastle. How are you?
Nice to meet you. We keep the 3
Tonight it will
points.
be hard for you, my friend.
There's the boss. He looks very serious today. It's a very important game.
Santi Cazorla
Brings it in.
second ball.
Oh,
Again
nice.
for Santi Cazorla. Now it's
Nice
a left
touch.
foot.
Nice touch.
Oh,
But cruel is that.
what a
Kulisevsky! Oh! That was really close from, I think that was Mesut Özil. Mesut Özil.
Mesut Özil.
Oh, Lolo Kuzel.
Yeah. Splash man.
Nearly. Look at Lolo.
Slap
Oh, he
up
jumped
him.
really high, but
Yeah.
look,
Yeah.
that's a
Stay-
bit of a
stay on the
dive. That's a
floor.
bit of a dive, but
Stay on the floor.
oh, Arsenal is on fire. Very tight,
Yeah.
very tight at the
Easy.
back.
Oh,
We
là,
said-
là. Oh, per
That's
Mertesacker.
a
Il y a
little small
problem.
problem,
No movement.
mobile-wise,
Yeah. Stay.
but you can
Oh,
let,
yeah,
you can
yeah.
let him
Oh,
shoot. Let him shoot. Let him shoot.
he
Yeah, it's
tried,
all right.
he tried,
all right.
but it's
yeah.
okay, no goals. They continue.
Sanya, long ball.
Oh.
Foul, ref.
Foul.
Come on.
The last
let's
defender. Yeah.
get serious. Come on.
Red
card.
Red card normally, eh? No?
That was
How do you
professional
think?
foul. Yeah, normally.
Yeah, I think it's
And
Free
that,
kick.
that free kick. Oh, he ran through. All the way through.
Oh, yes!
Impossible.
Yeah.
Show your tongue. Show your tongue again. Show. Yes, kick the ball into the stands. But what?
Yeah,
Look.
take a yellow card, my friend.
Look at him. Oh.
Nice one.
So you can see unusual take in the highlights, and they do this all the time with usually the players that scored the goals, and it gets amazing reactions. I don't know if anyone's an Arsenal fan here, but for fans of Arsenal, it's an amazing insight into these players where they usually don't have that access. I think an example I was looking at this morning for the IRFU as well, and something I think in rugby, just knowing how big rugby is in Ireland at the moment, because the team's doing so well. There's a lot of people like to look at content on YouTube in terms of fitness, staying fit, weights and everything like that. A good example of a video that went up by O2 and the IRFU is this video, which got over 230,000 views. And it looks like they didn't promote that or anything. It's just a lot of people interested in terms of looking at what the players are actually lifting. If you look in the comment section, there's crazy comments about the arches on their back and the fact that it's poor form, whatever they're doing. So the biggest fans who are into weightlifting as well are commenting on the players, whether they'd say that directly to their face or not, I'm not sure. There was one comment there as well. What was it? Are their weights plastic or something? Why are the 20 kgs so big? Well, then someone came in, they're called bumper plates. Bumper plates I never knew about before as well. So you can drop them on the ground and not cause too much damage. But it's this type of content that fans really want. So when you're thinking about your sponsorships or you're thinking about your content that you have rights to or access to, this type of content works really well on the platform. And I think someone who, I was at an event recently where someone from UFC presented, and I asked him for some of his slides today. So someone who has embraced YouTube massively, the UFC, because they're such a younger organization, I guess they could embrace digital fully from 2001, 2014. But they are the fastest growing sports organization. You can see the annual event attendance, 33,000 to 460,000. And in Ireland, obviously, there was the big massive fight this year. So they've fully embraced YouTube over the last few years. They've had 900 million views from 240 countries to date, 1.5 million subscribers. Obviously, Everything online, like Twitter and Facebook have a place here just as much as YouTube does in terms of getting that content out there. What's really interesting, I think, is it's very big, 900 million views. They even had 93 million views in Europe in the last year, and it's growing 94% year on year. So it's just exploding in terms of content because they put pretty much everything out there. They have crews on a lot of their fighters when there's a big fight week coming up. So I actually think a good analogy is if you think about the X Factor on ITV and you think about the main event, and they build up that show for 16, 18 weeks in advance before the big major event. YouTube's like that. When you have your big event, you should be building up to it and getting that audience excited beforehand. I know that we saw earlier a lot of people come to YouTube for highlights, but they're there as well for the build-up if you program in that correct way. So yeah, and for the UFC, Poland up 110%, 114%. They're not even active in those countries, but YouTube is allowing them to have big audiences there, sell into broadcasters based on the proof of the concept that there's big audiences viewing there as well. So it's interesting, but with them, they have to have their content in order, like we mentioned earlier. So for their Dublin Fight Week, they had a countdown to Fight Week, a series, 350,000 views in the week. I don't know, has anyone seen this video on the right up here of Conor McGregor by any chance? No? I watched it this morning, but it's called On the Fly here, but basically they have crews with a lot of the fighters during Fight Week to record everything that's pretty much happening. Where they get great little snippets. And in this example, Conor is actually, a fly starts going around him and he tries to catch it in midair and he keeps missing, but it's an entertaining piece of content that gets a lot of views. But then as well, putting the fighters in situations with local culture, so in terms of hurling, Google Glass they had at the event as well, so fully connected socially. What was really interesting, I'm not sure if you've heard this before, but they sold out the 9,500-seater stadium from one tweet. So it was one tweet Conor McGregor sent out, and 25 minutes later it was sold out. So absolutely amazing when they're fully connected like that in terms of social. So what's next? If I can find the clicker. What's next? I don't know if any of you have seen our early testing in this, but video content in Google search. So we've partnered with some sports rights holders to put content into Google results in their one box, it's called. So an example in the middle section here, the desktop view, is Atletico Madrid. I typed into search and it was just after Atletico Madrid played Barcelona. It linked through to their YouTube channel where the video was there. With the live stream I mentioned from Wimbledon as well, was live streamed on through Google when people were looking in relevant. And then in terms of sponsorship, so with Wimbledon, with Rolex specifically, we have worked with Wimbledon and the Ryder Cup, the European Tour and PGA for Rolex to sponsor all of that content exclusively on the platform. As you can imagine, these events are getting big audiences on the platform now. Wimbledon this summer got 6.6 million views for its highlights, match play and behind the scenes, and Rolex had stingers all around that content and beside it, which we're doing in a lot of categories as well. So during the World Cup, in a lot of territories, we had lots of people owning football categories on YouTube. And as well in rugby, the RBS Six Nations, we've partnered with a company in Dublin called Celtic Rugby Limited, who have the rights to digital highlights for Six Nations. And we actually have in-game highlights for the Six Nations. I'm not sure if any of you have seen the channel, but you can actually watch a highlight on YouTube, second screening experience, before it's even a highlight on TV sometimes. And RBS has sponsored that on the platform and open to sponsors in Ireland as well. But I thought this was a nice piece of content as well by Toyota this week, if anyone's seen it, with Johnny Sexton and Stephen Cluxon, where they once again just kind of on the fly content looking at the personalities of these guys. So it's about pressure and kicking, what the pressure you feel before kicking. Just play it for you.
Do you ever think back to any of the pressure kicks that you've taken and walk it through in your mind and
look, I've
learn from it? Or?
I suppose I've delighted I've got a really good record when it comes to clutch kicks, but I missed a bad one last year against New Zealand. But I suppose at the time it was just a kick to go in my head to go 2 scores clear. I didn't realise it was gonna
Be a defining moment.
Well, it'd be one of the defining moments.
Yeah.
Obviously, them scoring the try, won them the game, and if I got the kick, it would have made
Plus
it
the fact
easier.
that they got the retake to kick as well.
No, what I would have given to retake mine. But about the, you had that kick last play of the game, pretty much to win. I suppose you knew the consequences at that stage. It was all or nothing.
I suppose looking back at the way you were talking about your kick for New Zealand, I was kind of thinking in my head, there's still time to play after it. So if I missed it, it was still level.
Okay.
And
you shouldn't be saying
could have got
that.
an opportunity. And if I scored it, we still had an opportunity. They had an opportunity to get back. So, but I suppose that's our job. I mean, that's the risk that we have to take.
Yeah.
You can be the hero 1 minute and
tell me about it.
The enemy the next.
So I think the great example there, the brand takes a step back and leaves the talent to actually produce the great content. And for fans, it's kind of like the brand is actually facilitating fans getting such great content, which I think works best on YouTube as well. So then, almost finishing up, brands building channels with YouTube influencers. So what I talked about earlier in terms of those football channels, lots of brands are working with YouTube influencers now. Pepsi, Max in the UK started a channel last year. That channel has received over 30 million views, 70,000 subscribers. It's all about subscribers now to try and get distribution of your content. But the Pepsi CMO has stated in the 80s with Michael Jackson, 90s Beckham, and now YouTube stars. They're so bought into this concept of these influencers on YouTube, and they're seeing good results from their campaigns where they've said this unbelievable campaign where unbelievable things that stars have done has increased their ROI by 43%. So I'll actually show you that video, but before I show you as well, I've cut some of the video, but this skip ad format as well, TrueView ad format, it's very important for anyone whose agency or brand in the room, the first 5 seconds to try and captivate your audience. So you'll notice in the first 5 seconds of their advert, they try to get the user to keep watching, which you'll see now. Whoops. One second. No, it's not liking me.
All good? You all right?
So you're already intrigued.
Good demo? Yeah, good.
My name is Dane Walters, and I'm a stuntman who does tumbling, gymnastics and parkour. I'm attempting to run the loop, because I've seen people do it on a skateboard before, I've seen people do it on a BMX before, but no one's ever tried it on their feet, so it'd just be nice to be the first guy to actually run it. It looked a lot bigger than what I thought it was going to be. Yeah, I must admit, not the easiest thing I've ever done. To be one of the first people to do things is always one of my ambitions. I want to try and keep pushing the boundaries even further and further and see how far people can go.
Basically boils down to this centripetal force. You need to keep on accelerating. So you need to reach a certain speed. And I've worked out, it's quite good news actually, the speed at the top is 8.65 miles per hour.
That it?
That's it.
Okay. 3, 2, 1, go. 17.
5'11", look at that. Easy 5'11".
Somebody showing that one back.
But this one's it. I know I've said that 3 times now, but this one is it. But I'm close, I reckon I'm close.
Getting close.
You can't really go any further until you take the match. Yeah, let's get rid of him. Let's go for it.
there's a little bit more branding and stuff at the end. But I forgot to say, Damien, he actually is a free runner that's become very popular on YouTube, so parkour, like jumping from buildings to buildings, and he's actually become professional stuntman now in LA, so he works on videos, or sorry, on film productions. And yeah, we worked with Pepsi to look at people that we know are big on the platform, and then it helps that content to travel even further. So they received over 10 million views for that piece of content with earned and paid media, which is yeah, building up a big distribution channel for future pieces of content. And then second last slide here, but in terms of real-time relevant content, I thought it was interesting in the AIB example where they had lots of pieces of content that they couldn't actually, or they'd never released and never saw the light of day. I worked very closely with Adidas during the World Cup, and they recorded hundreds of pieces of content ready to be activated if certain things happened in match situations. So when Luis Suarez scored against England, they had an advert of Luis Suarez telling how he became a professional and stuff, basically advertised out in real time to Uruguay, South American countries, maybe Spain and countries as well, not England obviously. And then Benzema as well, when he scored, an advert straight away went out to French people, and you could only imagine the social currency that built up as Adidas, the football experts, and was shared massively during that really time-sensitive period. So I think in terms of opportunities, I think this whole fan piece is a massive opportunity, and working with big creators on YouTube, but as well as real-time piece, and really nailing that. But it takes a lot of preparation of getting content ready for it. The example on the right is actually a computer game called Madden 15, which is by EA Sports for NFL. And we worked with EA Sports to create GIFs for users to be able to quickly create a GIF based on the situation of an NFL game. The one other thing that we actually did in partnership with them was based on the real-time results of the game, these GIFs were automatically created, thousands of different combinations based on who scored during the game, and they were served out through the through websites on the Google Display Network. So real-time social currency for these brands. So my last recommendation, and I think a lot of these points were mentioned earlier today by different people, don't miss the growth of online video. We're only just at the start. If you don't start learning what's kind of best practice now, you're going to miss out massively over the next few years. So make sure you start testing. Testing is what you have to do. It's new for pretty much everyone, including YouTube as well. We're always seeing what types of content works well on the platform. Give fans the content they want. Fans in the digital age, just like consumers, things are a lot more transparent, and fans are getting more what they want, and you should give them what they want in terms of content. One final point, promotion is more important than high production. I couldn't emphasize this point enough in terms of because a lot of brands are so used to creating TV adverts for their 30-second space during TV and to get out of the way for the next ad, you can create whatever you want in terms of YouTube, in terms of that branded experience. 8 of the 10 top football adverts during the World Cup were actually over 4 minutes in length. So Nike, Adidas, Beats, and they were all digital-led. That 4-minute piece of creative was digital where it sat, and everywhere else pointing to it. But the promotion is more important than production. Promotion can be earned and paid, but basically just building up those distribution channels to get you reach for your pieces of content. If I uploaded Avatar in the morning, the next Avatar or the next, I don't know, Shawshank Redemption on YouTube in the morning in an unknown channel, it probably would get 1 or 2 views because there's no promotion for it. So you need to really promote these pieces of content, or at least have a distribution channel. And that's it. Thank you.
Chair. Thank you very much, Dennis.